been to Cairo. I've been to Africa. I've been to Joel Osteen's church. When I couldn't even afford to travel, I couldn't afford to do these things. And I lost my homes, 2 homes. I get back in the car. I lost my credit. I lost everything I my children have turned their backs on. I hate that. They got to where they hate me. Now I'm starting to put things back.
Hello, okay. I'm just getting set up to this. Is my first day and podcast. I can hear myself in the background watching myself on YouTube of the message I just made the day before yesterday. I made it on the 20th. Today's I made it on the 21st. Anyway, the fact is we're live. This is the first podcast of my church. And you can see me. I'm having a great time. I'm at my daughter's home. I've been out of the country. I've been in Jordan. I'm going to turn off this TV so you can hear me. There's no competition. Okay, here's what's going on. I just turned off the TV. It's just between you and I. My hair's kind of messed up in a way, but it's not that messed up. I look what I look like, and I am a happy man to be back. Of course, there's challenges and everything, and getting back has been a real challenge. There's always a challenge. Everybody's life is full of the same challenges that I face. Waking up to a new day. If you can't see the separate reality, the reality is so many people are just waking up. If they eat breakfast, if they don't eat breakfast, whatever they got themselves in a routine, daily life, you're missing the whole point of life. That's what this video is all about. Soon. Okay, now the reality, that's the title of today's first opening podcast ever made. Listen to me. God came to me June the 19th, June the 9th, 2019, in an argument, which is typical for me and God. We have that kind of relationship. Had that kind of relationship back before this happened. And in that argument, because I am autistic, and I can be a pain to a lot of people, because I won't hold back things, okay? This is one of those cases, today's reality. When God came to me, the first time in that argument, he says, Joe, please, I don't have any hands to help you or stop anybody. I don't have no feet to run, save you from a fire, or to put a fire out. I don't have a mouth to call 911. I wrote the book called God's Message. It's very small. It was only 23, maybe 27 pages long. I published it myself. That means I got my own copyright. I got my own IVSN number. I actually printed it. I published it. That means I published it. And I printed it. God's Living Ministry started on June the 19th. June the 9th, 2019. Now, when the church started, it's registered as a nonprofit on LLC, Limited Liability Corporation, meaning anybody can sue me or whatever, but they can't take my house away from me. I don't have a car anymore, and they don't even have houses. I'm staying um, at my my youngest daughter Heidi. Unfortunately, her sister Rebecca, and I'm not really shouldn't say unfortunately. Well, I would because of Zoe, her child, was 5 years old when that happened. But the thing about it is, Becky's not suffering like us all, and she's still living. That's what I realized. That's why this is easier for me to, and this ought to be easy for you to understand. I recently wrote in these last two podcasts you'll hear where I went to Petra, and I saw Petra by donkey. And go figure. Little did I know when I started this that I'd be going anywhere when I started this ministry. But I'm learning more and more every day, every second by God. Some of it it's added. It's all added to what I'm going to tell you today, because today I have learned the urgency of God coming to me in that message. First time I ever heard God, I was 68 years old. Okay, and this exact date. God never talked to me before this date, this argument. Then He did talk, and He hasn't quit talking since. But in that sense, that I can, God talks to me. He talks to everybody. He talks to you. But He can talk to you till He's blue in the face. If you haven't formed a relationship with God, you never know God or hear God. But it's going to cost you now. The world, this is reality. God's going to change reality. Why did God come now? This is the important part. The reality is, right now we're on borrowed time. Everybody is, churches have counted on the rapture. I believe, I don't know if the Christian religion is the only one that believes in the rapture, or any other religion has the end of time. End times were coming. Not spiritually, physically, by groups. Groups as Freemasons, Illuminati, Rothschilds, special interest groups. A lot of power. So much power. When I went to Cairo, I went to Cairo to make a documentary of the pyramids, I thought, and to introduce, introduce everybody to God's living ministry. Boy, did that change. It changed because the first place I lived and who was put on in was on the fifth floor of a tall building, 5-story building, and it's a beautiful overside of the town where I was at, right there in the middle of Cairo. But it's also 135 steps up. That's reality. 135 steps up, 23 flights of stairs. It kind of reminded me while I was there of being like on TV in the Big Bang Theory, where Sheldon blew up the elevator. There was no lift. So you have a choice. The choice was, for me, as my age, I guess even the reality is, if I wanted to eat 3 times a day, there'd be almost, there's 135 steps up and 135 steps down. In this case would be 135 steps down to 135 steps back up. How many times would you want to do that a day? It's not that easy. A person like me who's out of breath, and I haven't smoked in 30 years. My lungs are at a 98% capacity, which is great because at one point in my life, I had emphysema. Emphysema is caused by the hair fibers that are in your bronchial tubes going bald. I smoked menthol cigarettes back to back, 2 packs a day for 20 years. And it took all those hair fibers that normally they just make people cough. Instead of doing that, it produced sputum that filled my lungs full of fluid. That's what emphysema is. Now, I was never supposed to be recovered from the baldness of my bronchial tubes, and that would have been called COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The thing about it is that hair grew back after God took the cigarettes from me at the altar of Hicks Chapel, the Pentecostal church I went to, and I never let another cigarette touch my lips. It was easy. I think it was easy. I say it now. But I do know one thing: when people smoke, they don't realize the annoyance, how much of noise, even your own personal, it would be in this beard. The smoke would be in my hair, it would be in my mouth. My mother was like a dragon to me. She smoked 4 cigarettes at a time, 3 burning in the ashtray and 1 lighting another one. Kent cigarettes that were white with the lipstick mark on everything. Ashtrays filled. Passy, those kind of things. You don't really realize how dirty a habit that is. Oh, you guys think it's cool? Is it cool to smell like a cigarette butt? Is it cool to have ashtrays everywhere? Is it cool to... People make us pick up the cigarettes of people that smoke cigarettes. Now, this is not a thing. It's just cigarettes is not the point of this broadcast. The point of this broadcast is to let you know what reality is. And reality is God chose me on June the 19th to talk. And He hasn't stopped talking ever since. I pretty much know everything there is. Because God's going to be the one answering you, whether it's talking in my voice or in tongues. When it's in tongues, that's when God has something to say, and I'll tell you what He said, not word for word, but I can tell you what He said. What He said. Now here's the thing. Why me? Why am I the one that God came to talk to? He did this. And by no means am I trying to claim myself a prophet, anybody special. You're the one special. You're getting the message. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking for the money or the recognition. I'm actually looking for all your money. Not for me. Because every dime that God's new world, the way God, and believe me, when I'm telling you this message, I mean, it was not even popular with God. I mentioned we're at war with God. Why? Because the day that we started putting ourselves before God as our own gods, by claiming free will, we never had free will. That's stated in the videos. We never had free will. From the day that it was told to us, God told us, don't eat of this tree. That was a rule. And the Lord's Prayer says, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I already mentioned heaven's inside your DNA. That's where you'll go back. You'll go back to your family. You're not dead. You're immortal right now. Everybody is. You live in your children. You're living in your children, and everybody in your family, children, everything, whether they're alive or dead, are in your bloodstream living. Those that are living in your bloodstream that are deceased, I guess they're not deceased. They're living in you with them to have hands, feet, and mouth. I'm going to have to put this thing off my legs because I can see the vibration and I'm lost. So give me a second to adjust because I'm going to put it sideways for me. Okay, now there won't be any much moving around anymore. We're not. Um, we are immortal. You know, everybody that's a human being knows that they have DNA, and in that DNA is a live DNA. Why is it live? Because it's in the blood. It runs through every nerve sensor in your body, and you're living. If you have accepted Jesus, Jesus too is living in your blood. As said, Jesus is purifying the blood, your blood, uh, for the sins that you make. That doesn't make you. That does not give you free will to do anything you please. Because you have free will, and God's forgiving you of all your sins. This doesn't make you safe. In fact, it just makes you accountable, more accountable. A Christian has to live up to a different standard. Now is saying that he's got to be living for God because God said in the Lord's Prayer, "Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom you will come. Thy kingdom you will come." Where's God's kingdom? It's inside you. I've already discussed that in other things. I don't need to explain that. You're human. Everybody has got God. By what power do you live or breathe or think or anything? Not by electricity. Electricity doesn't think at all. Has no concerns. They don't care about you. Not by gasoline, not by petrol, whatever you want to call it. By no other means are you living that's understandable to the man, so you might as well give it the name as God. And that's not just, you don't have to be accepted like a religion says. It's there whether you want it or not. You're alive. The fact that you're alive means that you have God living within you. The recognition is what you got to, everything this world has to do is recognize we're not robots. We're very far from being robots. We are, because we're living and breathing, it means our mechanisms are immortal, just like like A and I. But A is not just like a opposite A and I. A and I has to be plugged in. We can't die. We're living in our children, and everybody is children in the offspring, whether we want to or not. I've already mentioned there is no such thing as hell. It's a relative term. I've lived in hell, and I've been through hell in my life. You have too been through hell if you've lived there through your life. I told you in the other podcast that I can't imagine being on right now, living on the Gaza Strip and going what they're going through. No doubt there's been worse. I can't think of anything worse than that right now, at the present. I can't imagine the Holocaust ever happening. I can't imagine anything ever happening like this. Man has degraded himself so much. by his own doing. These wars are by man's doing. We created these wars by our own set of rules. We created this mess. If you consider this world a mess, I'll say it's not only a mess, but it's running backwards. Now, this is the starting of the real message, reality. The reality is God came back since 2019 with very big urgency. I didn't really know their urgency, and I really don't suspect that God himself inside me knew the total urgency. He knew that this world was not the end. You've been looking for the rapture, you've been looking for the apocalypse. I don't know whether that's just in the Christian religion or whatever. You always knew and were warned the day would be coming when the Lord would come back. Either in the if you want to believe in an apocalypse, go ahead, because that certainly still happened. That was planned. It was planned for this year. Watch what urgency that God came here. He knew it. He had to head it off. In this video, you'll find the video that I made 2 days ago. It says that I met a doctor in Cairo that specifically knew the name of the drug that's trying to be FDA approved to commit suicide overnight, painlessly in your sleep. This is not Dr. Dvorkian thing where it looks like Frankenstein has put a bunch of things there to either create you or destroy you. This is just one simple piece of medicine that will kill you in your sleep, where the next morning you won't wake up depressed, the next morning you won't wake up in pain. How many people do you think died to wish they had never taken that pill? Now, for people that died, like Billy Graham and all the pastors, billions of pastors in the past that preached hell and heaven or somewhere else outside of yourself, they got to be going through living through hell right now inside their DNA. Why? For they wasted their whole life and they preached a message that actually it was opposite. God was living inside you. I mentioned that when he chose your mother and father, he also created you spiritually, but spiritually again is physically in that sense, because when God takes time to figure out who the mother and father are going to be, it could be like it's said in kindergarten. All those years he put you. I mean, when he put that thought and he started thinking about who he wants to marry, to be together and have children, he not only starts his plan to manipulate the life. Like I said, talk to your mother, talk to your father, see how they met, ask them how they met. There's a series of coincidences that happen throughout their life that brought them together. They could have been in competition, and your father won the competition. In a sense, that's not the case. You've always been God's choice, because the day that you was born, he created your face, man or woman. He created your gender. He created everything about you. Want to know what that is? Do you look like God? No, you look like God's creation. At that day, God took what he saw in your mother and what your father, and he created you in the image that God created. Not to look like God, because God doesn't have a body. God is life. He's the energy. to even look on God. Be more like looking, if you could, at the brightest, looking straight at an atomic bomb going off, which would immediately blind you for life. You couldn't do it. You couldn't see God. It's because it's pure energy. To watch a nuclear burst, to be stupid enough to look straight into a nuclear burst would blind you and take you for but that's what God would look like. But in the sense that God created you that day, molded you, and he brought you alive spiritually. And from that day on, you was growing physically inside your DNA, living. You could hear everybody in that background. You could see everybody in the background. You can hear, like I said, hear, see, feel, everything. What you didn't have was the hands. You had hands, feet, and mouth. Spiritually, but not in the physical form because you wasn't born yet. You'd only get so old. Maybe, I don't know this, but you are living. This is called the unborn within us. Everybody, I said, listen to the time. Think about the times when you played in a mud puddle by yourself, and who was you playing with? Why were you so? You got even mad when somebody tried to stop you or distracted you. You tried, and then more than likely you got them to join in rather than be distracted. The fun, the party, imaginary friends. Those weren't imaginary friends. That was everybody in your bloodline, unborn. You're playing with them. They play all the day long. They're the reason we smile. The reason that we love life. We love to play. We love the just be like a child. Little boys with sticks and little girls with baby dolls. Whose are you with when you're alone? You are with them. They're in you. You're also with your family when they want to be serious. You know, your mother will still wake you up from a sound sleep and say, get up, we got a lot to do. You got a test this morning. I said that Einstein was not the smart of a man because he didn't know every day he's being challenged by God. I give him a harder Sudoku problem to save every day. He gave him a mathematical formula. His own parents, he didn't recognize them. I know that Einstein didn't understand about the unborn living in him, but he certainly was a joyful man, a joking man. Therefore, he had an understanding of the unborn living within himself. Each of us have to just get over the whole thing of explaining this. I'm not going to explain everything I ever talked about. I'm going to explain to you right now the reality of why. Because these people of the Illuminati, Freemasons, and everybody else, this physical part of special interest groups that are actually trying to put this pill on the market and everything, they not only put that pill on the market, but they also, when they started blockchain with, they can keep everything that they're doing with their algorithm so secretive and closed away from anybody to ever being able to have any more say so or even hack into it. It's impossible. So they can get away with well, they've been getting away with murder, but this is what turn over complete control of this world. Who lives and who dies, not just by choice by the pill, by economics. Who has the money to invest in Bitcoin? Who has the money to invest in any currency that has to be transferred electronically? Just like I mentioned in this video that I can do because of being an owner of God's coin, run the printing presses. That's what they can do. That's what they had planned to do. But with virtual money, they had already planned that, and virtually they can virtually run this world and choose the ones that are going to benefit, and the rest are nothing but their pawns. If necessary, they can bring about, put both keys together and end this world by nuclear destruction by the apocalypse, and they would do that. They're ready to do that before they would go down. If you're going in 2024, this was it. This was the time, the chosen time, why God came back to me with God's message. The sense of urgency was caused by them. It's a race. Either case, get it through your heads, people. You don't have to believe this. It's happening, and it's going to happen. My daughter says she's losing her job in September. The reality is, none of us are going to survive 2024. To be or suffer again. This world is destroyed. If they destroy this world and thing, you're going to simply either kill yourself, or you're going to die by their measures, or you're going to live by whatever standard they create. You have a choice. That's why God came, to give you a choice. Are you going to be controlled by them, or are you going to give God a chance? That's the question of the thing. We got even the God within everybody. Everybody has God living inside them. With your parents, your unborn, your body is a physical temple of yourself, your family, and your unborn. They're all living within you. If you don't believe that, then don't take the cure, the money. Go take the pill if you want to take the pill, and get out of this whole race of even living, in any dead or not. Nobody's dead. You can't be dead if you're living in your children and everybody in your bloodline. But the choice is physically what you're going to do. Are you going to live under the control of somebody? You're actually in the control of your governments, your religions, your own doings. Everybody is in control. God's going to relinquish that control. He's not going to really relinquish all that control. He's actually going to go take control of you. God's coin's here. It's already here, because his thought's already been hatched. God's coin's here. It's only hasn't been issued. The thought's already here. Who's going to be the one to get? The first is going to be the ones that benefit from God's coin. What is God's coin? It's simply a share of all the accumulated money in the world that's sitting in banks, that's not being used. Any currency that's not being used immediately right now, that's being held for security, This is gold, this is Bitcoin, this is silver, any commodity, stock, bond that are useless paper or whatever, just sitting there, information sitting there, not being used. God is going to change that. He's going to accumulate all that wealth from gold, silver, your money. It gets to get out of into God's hands or into their hands. This is their choice. Your choice. Whose hands do you want it in? Do you want it in this form, or do you want it in God's coin? God's coin is not going to hold back anybody. It's not going to hold back. It's immediately divided. Now, think of all the money in the world being immediately dispersed by shares. Not who owns the most God's coins gets the most shares. It's just by that account, by accounts. Now, when God starts passing out money, it's a simple thing. Just go to the bank with your family. Everybody, just go to the bank and go now. Don't wait for it to actually come on the market like thing. Go now. Right now, I'm speaking on this voice. Go now to your bank, and with anything you have, $10, $100, $50, open a God's coin account for you and everyone in your family, even the newborn to the oldest person in your household. It's important I say household. Household could be friends living in there. It could be family members. The ones that are run by that household. In that household, whether they're married or not, makes no difference. It's got to go by the household. Who's living in that household? Your children, your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, friends. Makes no difference whether you're related or not. The fact is, that household is already the group that's chosen to live together. The ones that are 18 years old and older will receive a brand new phone. For instance, a brand new iPhone 15. The representative of that phone company will be going, will set it up, be there. Somebody will be there to set their job specifically will be to set that phone up with your facial recognition, with your voice recognition, with your fingerprint identification, with your grip identification, and they will be there solely to get you that phone where it is the second, third, fourth party verification. No longer will you have any algorithm or anything send you to any other place of identification but your own mouth, your own face, your own fingerprints, and your own grip by your own phone. That phone have a phone number. That phone will have two numbers put in it. One is a phone for you to communicate freely with others and share with. They can call that phone. But the other phone number, only the bank will know it. Not even the police department will know it. Banks are not to collect any data on you. Not where you live, not your driver's license, nothing. Just your name. You already got your fingerprint identification. Nobody can copy those things. Because you're going to have to physically go to the bank. Somebody 18 years old or older, they'll have all the accounts on that one phone. It gets set up. But once the phone they'll simply close the phone and have you reopen the phone. They turn the phone off and turn it back on and have you reopen the phone and then hand it to the banker. The banker can set up a passcode by your choice or not. Shouldn't have to. You opened it up. There shouldn't be no needed to have a password. You opened it up. The fact that, and you handed them the phone. Now that phone, everybody 18-year-old will have every account of everybody in that household. Why? Because somebody that's 18 will physically have to go to the bank and do the family's banking. All data collection will be illegal. There won't be any transferring of where you live, phone numbers, any information of anything. Nothing to track, nothing to trace. You do your business. You withdraw the funds that you wanted to withdraw from your account. Money will be deposited in their accounts every second. God's limits you want doesn't hold nothing. Everything's immediately divided by the banks. The banks are the treasury of the God's Living Ministry. They're issuing God's coin. God's coin will have value at some point. You already get to everybody right now is to get to the bank and open an account with by your own means. Whatever it takes to get an account, whether it's $1, $100, $50, whatever, get there and open a specific account labeled for God's coin. Important. At that point, you're deciding, I'm going to live for God, or I'm going to live by whatever means that's determined to be the one to control your life. Government, special interests. God's coin's not going to be. It's not going to be. It is free. Okay, it's absolutely free to you. In fact, God's coin's going to be putting money into that account. You got to understand that. Get the accounts, because you're going to have money coming in there every second of every day. Those that have money now, I don't care if you don't have hardly anything, start depositing money in the God's coin accounts. Start depositing money. Taking your assets and exchanging them. Put them in your savings. The money for your house, your mortgage, everything. Whatever you have, all your assets, get them out of this world's financing and get it liquidated and put it into God's coin account. Liquidate all your assets. Bitcoin's not going down. Your currency is going to it's going to shrink down to nothing with competition. But God doesn't intend everybody to lose anything. Not even your currency. You'll keep using your currency. Because God's coin wants everybody using their own money, cashing in the God's coin, using the currency of their country. The value of your currency is going to change, because God's coin, starting out on November, listen to me if you're American, November the 16th, the day after elections, 2024. It's going to cost $50,000. A God's coin is going to cost $50,000. It's already set. I'm just saying it's going to. The date's going. I put the date as the 26th of May. We have 6 months right now. We've already wasted 6 months. We got less than 6 months, because today is the 23rd. And November the 16th, we're already 6 days beyond when the God's coin was going to cost. Immediately when the God's coins cost $50,000, somebody in this world is going to have God's coin. Who's going to have God's coin? Everybody. Everybody within my voice right now, go open accounts, God's coin accounts for you and the whole family. Put $1 in each account, put $100 in each account, divide it up. Put them in the account, put the money in there. You're going to get a God's coin. Every person's going to get one God's coin. On November 26th, that God's coin will be worth $50,000. Everybody in America will get one God's coin that day. If they have a handicapped child, whatever, anybody like that, we're taking that in consideration too. The bank will increase that up to 5 God's coins. Every birthday on any a newborn's life, they will receive a birthday present of one God's coin will be automatically deposited into that account. That's $50,000, $50,000, $50,000 every year. If you're in America. Because it costs $50,000 because Americans will have to pay me. Now, what's that going to happen to the dollar? Going against Bitcoin. Think about your investments right now. God's coin everybody has God living in them. And if everybody acknowledges that fact by going to open the God's coins accounts, they're already given God, showing God that they believe in God. By going to get it, they just gave God hands, feet, and a mouth. You became that just because you went and got God's coin. God now has hands and feet and a mouth. Now it's got recognition as he's always wanted. I keep saying he, but in a sense, God can be a she too. Because God is in your image. Look in the mirror. You want to see what God looks like? Look exactly in the mirror. You can't bat an eyelash without God letting you or giving you the ability for that to happen. You can't talk, you can't think, you can't do anything without God giving you the ability to do that. So looking at yourself in the mirror is the closest thing you'll ever do to actually seeing God. And that physically is the case. You're the imagination with the way God imagined you to look. Looking at your parents, who you decide your parents. Now you had to create your parents to manipulate their lives, and everybody go ask their parents about the circumstances they had took to meet. And like I said, it probably might have been in competition. Most relationships start that way. God had to make their paths cross. Then the day happens when your parents made you secret. You go to Psalms 139. God knew that day when He made your parents made you in secret, and He says, "Yeah, I've been waiting. Come on in. Nobody has two fathers." I said that. So you went in, and God closed the door, and at that point, the reaction started. The reactor, boom. That's when life started. Your image was already created. And now it's being copied from spiritually to physically, being molded in your mother's body. I guess it's more like instead of being molded, you're being transferred. You're transferred. In any case, you know you look exactly like you look, like God created you to look, a man or a woman. Is God a man? No. Is God a woman? No, not really. God is energy. The E equals mc squared. It actually is energy. Might will be G equals mc squared. But that formula is wrong, I'd say. Sure, it's whatever mass we have squared, but the constant, what we think is a constant of the speed of light, is not. That's been changed. It can be changed in a heartbeat. God changed it when He created this world. He created it every time He had an ice age. Any reason He had a reason to change it. He can stop the planet's rotations. He can stop the orbits of the planets and the stars. He can change everything in a heartbeat, and so it's never going to be what we're used to. Is what we say the constant. It's just what we're used to. But there's no constants with God. God can do anything He pleases, anything He has to do. When He created a flood, did He not have to create rain for 40 days and 40 nights? How did He dry up all that water? By ice age. How did He create an ice age? He had to put this whole planet in the dark. He had to have some type of eclipse where He put the moon blocking the sunlight for at least 3 months so the earth would freeze. When the earth froze, then it had to be reheated. That's another 3 months of direct sunlight. No moon. 24-hour day sunlight. It happens on the poles every year at 24. Then it changes a few minutes every day to get normal. God is able to do things that we gotta quit thinking that we have formulas of permanent value like that had to do with something like the speed of light. These are the constants we know. What I'm saying, my brain's going in a lot of directions right now because this is God's video. God's supposed to be in charge, and I'm supposed to be just talking only what God's telling me. But my brain, when it starts thinking and gets off track, then it's going into my direction, and I have to reconcentrate. Okay. Right, you right now learned that it's a choice. You had no choice. 2012 is on borrowed time of special. Let's just call them special interests. They're the ones that created the pill to die overnight. They're the ones that are going to create a blockchain to keep their algorithms from being discovered. Their discussions and everything hidden between themselves. In other words, they don't want you finding out what they're really up to. These entities, as the Freemasons, my God, if you knew, and everybody does know a little bit about it, every war that was ever created, Khrushchev was a Freemason. Stalin was a Freemason. George Washington was a Freemason. Thomas Jefferson was a Freemason. Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason. Why? Because they had to be secret societies because they were running from the King of England, who was basically a Freemason and the Scottish Rite. Emperor Magi of Japan was a Freemason. Hitler was a Freemason. Third Reich. Scottish Rite. The Third Reich means the Third Scottish Rite. All these people have been creating wars and in wars, creating wars and manipulating this world. It's like, well, you figure George Washington had to figure out the strategies to defeat England. They had to do secretly. That's what done through Freemasonry. They've done way too much damage, way much short damage. Lenin, through the Bolshevik Revolution, destroyed all the evidence collected for 8 years while they measured Noah's Ark. Every inch of Noah's Ark, samples, urine samples, species samples, wood samples, foods, grain samples, everything. They were all collected for 8 years by the Russian Tsar Nicholas II. At that time, the Kremlin was in Petersburg, Virginia. It was discovered by the aerial photographs that are still available on the internet today of the pictures that that Lieutenant Vladimir Roskovitsky took flying over the Mount Ararat in 1910. The Russian Tsar Nicholas sent a party out in 1910. There's no record of that because it'll only say that there's nobody that a Russian expedition went in 1918 and didn't see a thing. Couldn't find any evidence of that. Of course they didn't, because they sank Noah's Ark. They didn't blow it up because that would leave proof. They re-sank it. Noah's Ark was in a shallow, great glacial lake, exposed from the aerial photographs, and you could see it. Well, they had to blow up the ground underneath the lake to re-sink it. Divers have not been able to go to the depths of that lake when they were allowed to go to discover it. Today they can do it by submersibles without any damage. Too many parties went through Turkey, and destroyed their economy and their way of life, and destroyed the whole surroundings. Trying to investigate. Today the Turkish government might let a crew go up there with submersibles and rediscover Noah's Ark again. Nobody ever had the chance to see it like the Russians did for 8 years. All that evidence was piled up and burned. Yeah, like everything that was in the Kremlin that was in Petersburg, Virginia then. You'll hear, you just read the message of mine. I can't get into the whole story. I haven't got time. But these are the things that these Freemasons and people have been doing. Japan was created by a coalition of the countries of England, Spain, Portugal, the Dutch, France, Italy, and the United States. I don't know how many that is, but think about it. Portugal, the Dutch, the United States, France, England. They all had, at that time, ships that they traveled and carried things from Hong Kong, China, to Singapore, Shanghai. Slaves, Chinese came and built our railroads, all the thing. They exploited all these countries. They had, but Japan was holding out with the samurai, run by the samurai as the leaders of the army and the monks to follow. When you see the thing of the movie with Tom Cruise in it of the Last Samurai, yeah, that's real. The United States gave them the cannons, gave them the field artillery, brand new repeating rifles, machine guns, gave them the uniforms. The United States furnished all that. While every other country, England, gave 2 pirate ships. Pirate ships. Now you think those were lesser ships? No, they were. They were some of the biggest ships. They were captured men of war type ships with the best of the cannon. That's what pirates do. They refit these things, warships, with the best of everything because that's what they did. They stole, and they knew how to attack ships, even the countries that used them. British had formidable fleets, but not against the pirates, because the pirates were out to get those fleets. They would outsmart them, lead them to coves with rocks to run aground, or attack them in the middle of the night by dark. Pirates were just after one thing, whatever they had of value. So pirate ships were the best equipped ships they had. And they were also a very good thing. So when they took a 13-year-old, they wanted the emperor of Japan would not let anybody go to Japan to trade. And they had a set rule: nobody stops in Japan. Nobody's going to stop in Japan. Well, the coalition of all these countries, they gave 2 pirate ships, one to 2 pirate ships to set to Emperor Magi when he's 16 years old, when he became emperor, 16 or 18 years old. The day that the coalition, they formed a coalition. God knows how many people that infiltrated the Congresses of America or the Senate that were part of the coalition. Like I said, there was people from representatives from England, France, Portugal, Dutch, Spain, all together with all these countries. They did it so they can, like I said, for their own use, to get the railroads built by the Chinese, so they get goods made, free labor out of China, communist China. It wasn't communist then. It was just the poorest of people in the world. Just went there and ruled it and had them running sewing factories, building the uniforms for the Confederate War, even the guns for the Confederate War. For free. Why not? Slave labor. Coming from China, Hong Kong. Taking the people from Shanghai. They created, the United States and the rest of this world created Japan to be the superpower, to be the hands and feet and mouth of them. Therefore, they tried to go after Korea, but guess what? It's Kim Jong-un, or great grandfather, they were fighting with monks and samurai. What did they do? First ones that tried to attack them, they were shooting at them. No matter what they're shooting at them or not. The monks was just further deeper into just got stayed hidden in the jungle and shot bows at them, arrows at them, at the boat, flaming arrows. because the deck um, of any boat that came in there, that's a specific story to a certain thing. But what they did, they actually burned them, and they blew them up by putting bringing gunpowder in canoes and let them float downstream till they reached it, and they shot flaming arrows and finally blew the boat up. That's how you defeat somebody like that, because if you got a gun pointed at you, then get out of the range of it. Get hidden. Guerrilla warfare. They were the masters of guerrilla warfare, staying out of sight. That's what this world's been doing, though. They're trying to outsmart us, and the reason why um, Korea got survived is because they outsmarted them. Oh, you got those guns, but those guns are no good from a distance, and we'll attack you with gunpowder and flaming arrows at night and blow things up around you. During Hussein's time, Saddam Hussein was trying just about ready to tell everybody they're the direct descendants of Noah. They also, because Noah did not have his language changed, do know the language of Adam and Eve. They also have all the documents, all the way back to documents that would Methuselah had put on the ark. 37 chests out of 40 were on that ark. 3 of them were stolen by his own sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, one apiece. It was supposed to be. Took a trunk of the documents that were left by Methuselah to his grandson, Noah, to put on the ark. Nobody can read those today except for the Iraqis. Only a few Iraqis know that, and you can be certain Saddam Hussein knew it. There's a lot of more secrets than that. That everybody, I've already mentioned in my books, but Methuselah's palace and stuff was built right over the Pison River. Pison River ran through the middle of Garden Eden. That was the secret to life. It was a fountain of youth that kept everybody living 1,000 years, and they stayed young. They didn't age like we did. They stayed young. And they lived 1,000 years as long as they drank that water from the Pison River. Every year since Adam and Eve, as the ground got higher, plants and everything start shifting, and it creates more ground. Every year, they had to create a step, and but the area where they would collect water, there was a temple built, and that had added a step. By the time Methuselah's time, there were steps to go down from his palace, like to the basement, and start going down the steps to get to the Pison River to drink. Methuselah lived to be 969, and the only thing that destroyed him then was the flood. He stayed behind. He left the 40 chests on the ark for Noah. Noah's boat didn't go anywhere. It was this town went 350 miles away. And it was frozen when he got stopped on Mount Ararat, and he had to actually walk back to and he didn't know it. He ended up right back where he started. Right in the location of Methuselah's house. His 3 sons, oldest sons, found their way into caverns below the cave that Noah lived in with the family for 39 years. In those caverns, they found gold. They found all kinds of treasure. They stole They were stealing the treasure and the water. They brought the water back to Noah and they drank it themselves all the time. And but they lived there for 39 years with with the water on the water, drinking the water of the Pison River, the fountain of youth. Even the angels drank the water, the reason of their longevity, the reason that the guardian, Michael the archangel, the, the leader, Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel, these angels survived off this water that's still there today. Saddam Hussein knew that. I don't, who can actually say? Um, I don't know. It's from one of my books under my curiosity how old Saddam Hussein really was, but he was about ready to tell the Iraqis who they were, and they would be the only ones that could read the documentation, and they kept the names. The Hebrews didn't of the girls. They kept the names. One of the books that the Catholic Church uncanonized or kept the secret. Two of the books is the books of Enoch, the books, both books of Enoch, but they also kept the book of Jubilee, which was showing Adam had 23 unmentioned children. So, and actually 23 of one, and there was 33 of another or something. I don't remember exactly. I used to talk about that, but they were unmentioned children of Adam. All that will be explained to you. If you're curious, go ahead and read it. I don't need to retake this stories in this broadcast. This is important broadcast because here right now we're talking about reality. You have a choice. The choice is: are you going to give God a chance to save this world and turn heaven on earth? How's he going to do it? By giving you money, lots of money. If he's got the printing presses, which is not the same thing, really not turning the printing press and printing money. We're just taking the money that's here, already here, and dividing it up. It's not being used. Is Donald Trump or Satoshi Nakamoto going to lose a dime? No, because I'm going to give them their money in God's coin back. And if they get it out of the United States now and put it in another currency, they're not going to. They're not going to watch the $50,000. What do you call it? Drop their value of their money down to nothing. Same as Bitcoin. You get your money out. Get ready to get your. Just right now, in the sound of my voice, go open the accounts. If you don't want, you don't understand this, and don't do anything, it's going to happen. It's already said, because these people are ready to take over the world, and even destroy this world to have their way. They don't want to live without being out of control. I'm moving this off because I'm going to have to pause this live broadcast, and I'll have to come back to it. What I guess I'll end this right here. I'm going to end this right here with this message. Go open a God's Coin account with whatever money you have. The reality is you have that's your choice. The choice is you have no choice. Because you're going to lose your money. The value of your money is going to go as soon as God gets there. Don't you see? Nothing, Bitcoin, nobody else, your currencies can't cannot compete with God's coin. And this threat that's been hanging over the world. And this is it. Go to the banks right now, everybody in my voice, and go get to God Points accounts.
This son of a bitch.
Okay, back. You can say, you know what? I can edit out what everything I've been doing, shaking around, whatever has happened. But I'm back, and I, went to the bathroom, combed my hair, and I'm back to tell you before you can go make your open your God's Coin account. Everybody has this message. Go to and this is I'm gonna give you a website. My website is in small case letters, and it's a sentence that will read God's Living Ministry, God'sMessage.com. That's GODSMINISTRY. I'm sorry. Let's go back. GODSLIVINGMINISTRY. GODSMESSAGE.com. God's Living Ministry.com in small case. Write that down. Click on it and go to my website. It will show you on my website my checking account number, the routing number, and my account number. When you open up the accounts, that's the note. That's where your deposit will go. Your deposit will be going into my checking account. As President, CEO, sole proprietor of God's Living Ministry, it'll go to Reverend. It actually doesn't have to have Reverend on it. It'll be Joseph Andrew Jensen Sr. That money I will accumulate in my account. I will be using some of that money. I'll be using some of that money just like donations. The fact of the matter is, you're going to have a receipt for every dime that you give me. It's going to be dated. Every date that's going to issue, and I'm going to issue a God's coin per dollar you donate. Every dollar that you donate will earn you a God's coin. What is a God's coin? God's coin is a share of everything that's collected. Nothing in God's coin that's been collected will be until November the 16th of 2024. Anything collected up to 2000 November the 16th, 2024, that's the day the accumulated amount of wealth accumulated in my account, every dime of it is going to be divided between accounts opened. You understand what I just said? And I already told you I have issued you a God's coin per dollar donated already. It's going to be in the account, dated. You got 20 years to use it or lose it. Again, I put it on my lap, and I shouldn't have put it on my lap. So you got 20 years to use it or lose it. Invest it, create things with it, buy. What's going to happen that second is the world's going to wake up the day after elections. That the fact of the matter is whoever in whatever country and whatever person in any country has donated is going to be divided up equally. The people in each country all have their own currency, and it'll stay within their own borders. Okay? Cumulatively, whatever in the United States, the USDA will be whatever is donated in the United States will be divided up into US dollars between how many counts there are in America. There's 240 million people in America. That's the potential of everybody that signs up for God's coin in America. Now, if you don't have, at that point, you need to have God's coin, not dollars, because at that point, a God's coin is going to cost the people in America $50,000 a day. You understand this Satoshi Nakamoto. You understand this Bill Gates. You understand this Jeff Bezos. You understand this Donald Trump. And that day, $50,000 every $50,000, every God's coin that's being collected, that's $50,000. That's Bitcoin loses. Your dollar loses. The United States will no longer even accept dollars if it wasn't for God's coin, using the dollars, staying on the dollars. So each of those people that have a God's coin, they're going to inherit $50,000 per God's coin they collected. They're going to be instant millionaires, billionaires, maybe quintrillionaires, maybe zillionaires. It makes no difference. How many zeros? If you put a quintrillionaire, that's E to the 12th power. It's 12 zeros behind the amount. If you're talking about 5 with 12 zeros behind it, that's $5 quintillion. Okay? We've long passed the trillion. The day after that, there's going to be when it starts, everybody's going to be asked to donate $1 that's in America, one God's coin to pay off the taxes. Actually, 3 God's coins. It's going to pay off not just the national debt; it's going to pay off the accumulated debt of the nation, not just the debt of the government. The 3.4 God's coins will pay off the national debt of the United States. They will be owing nobody nothing. And all God's coins after that are potentially worth $50,000 each that they've accumulated. You billionaires, Jeff Bezos, for instance, if you have donated $202 billion, multiply $202 billion times 50,000. I don't know what happened with the focus, but it changed. But I'm trying to get it back. But anyway, you understand how it works now. At that point, the Illuminati, the Rothschilds, the Freemasons, they're now under the thumb of God's coin because they even took all their riches and put it into God's coin. A secure place if you're not going to get involved in certain things. Then you're subject to behaving. Got that, Bill Gates? Freemasons? You got that? Special interests? If you get involved in something, you immediately, out of your accounts, can be suspended. Your funds be suspended. And an investigator sent, not the FBI, not the CIA, not Secret Services, nobody that we know of, But private investigators will go in to find out everything they can find out at your expense, coming out of your God's Coin account, charging your God's Coins account while you go home. Don't talk to nobody. Stay on home's arrest, and you just stay there and await the verdict. They'll do their investigations, and when everything's satisfied, you're either going to be indicted, fined, or you risk everything. You risk it all. Other than that, it's free money. Just keep your nose clean. Free money. One rule: spend, spend, spend. God's rule: spend. Party. Buy yourself cars. Buy you a car every year. Start your own collection of the choice cars you want, because you'll certainly be able to build a home plus a facility to hold all your cars so that you never drive the same car every day. Imagine yourself owning 365 cars a year. Never had to drive the same one. Remember, imagine same as a wardrobe. You never had to wear the same outfit or underwear again. The sub-potential of God's Coin. Invest. Personally, I'll be investing my shares. I invest my shares, ideas I have. I will take to China and North Korea and South Korea, working together to build small enough nuclear reactors for everybody's individual home. They'll be no bigger than a condensing unit, a normal air conditioning condensing unit. That's safe to be around the house, air cooled. You never have to do anything, but it'll produce 200 amp service to every home, even 400 amp service to every home. What, 30 years? Or every 10 years? You won't want the reactor nose, just like a car. You got to do. It's not going to last but so long. So you can't make it to last 1,000 years. The house is not going to be there 1,000 years. Neither is the car. But if you collect the cars, you could be. And you take care of your house, but you don't want the reactor to outlive the house. In this case, make it last every 10 years. Put just enough spent fuel in that thing under a closed system that doesn't need to be cooled by water or any other means. It won't hurt it if it rains. It won't hurt it if you thing. But the thing about it is, it's made to just sit there and produce that fuel, because that's what nuclear does. You take two ionizing elements, put together the same mass, they'll duke it out forever until they actually lose. They're non-radioactive and harmless. That's just what you see in battery life is the same thing as would happen in nuclear, except for the thing is, you can, how do you say, in a battery you can't see what's going on, how much power. You can see a graph of how much power you're losing, but it's the same thing. You're gonna have the power until it doesn't have no more power. You'll have full power until it doesn't have the power to run at full capacity, and then it'll diminish. Gradually diminish to nothing where it's harmless. It's a way to get rid of nuclear waste, and it's a way to drive our automobiles. Because right then, if your household's running off electricity, I'm moving this way again. If your household's running off electricity, and you have plenty of electricity, then you plug in your electric car. Not a hybrid between, or you could still have a hybrid that runs on fuel for that. That's perfectly all right because you can afford it. Because what else is free? Your money. It's coming to your account all the time. Everybody in this world will be millionaires. So what will people be doing? What they won't be doing. I'm looking around to put this thing in a permanent position. I should have did this before I started this video. I'm going to take a second here. Move my thing off my lap. Focus away from the place where I